stressed and depressed. Due to many addictions that started at 12 years old. With no guidance, marijuana, alcohol, and cocaine became her way of life for 30 years. Eventually, she lost everything. Homeless with children. Maybe this is your story. You are stressed and depressed for so many reasons.
Naked Truth. We are here to introduce to you the power of God. We have to uncover the truth. The reality of many people is that they suffer day and night, night and day, without finding a way out. I have this couple by my side. They have found their way out, and we are going to take some episodes of their story to show to you that there is a way out. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Sir, how are you doing? All right. Good. They are going to share with us their story. Let me begin here with Nisa. Who was Nisa before you came into this ministry? How was your life and your family?
Before I came to the ministry, I was broken. It started with my childhood. I grew up in a family that was addicted to drugs, and they were suffering, and because of them suffering, their children suffered. I ended up being one of those children, and it really had an effect on my life growing up. I grew up in hardship, poverty, and I was very mentally, disturbed because of my childhood, not growing up with, too much love, love coming from my grandmother, but my mother, she wasn't really there. My father, he wasn't there. He was absent in the home. So
were they married?
There. Yes.
They were married,
They
but
were married.
he was always absent.
He was always absent out of the home.
So you grew up without a father?
I grew up without my father, yes.
And how was the family side? Of your father, your mother, the relatives?
My family, I really didn't know my dad's side of the family. But my mother's side of the family, the only person who was really there was my grandmother, because everyone was, on drugs, partying, drinking, and all the grandchildren were at, my grandmother's house.
So when we see nowadays a person that is in suffering, that is battling with drugs, like the addicts, people who are in prison, there are many inmates right now watching us. So most of them came from a broken home.
Correct. Yes.
So as for you, your parents were not around, no love, and what did you get yourself into?
Eventually, I started drinking at an early age. I started drinking and smoking marijuana at the age of 12. And I grew up all through my teenage years drinking and smoking because I was very depressed and stressed and didn't really know how to cope with life. So that was all I knew. That was how I covered up my pain. I knew I didn't want to go through that anymore, so I started thinking of how can I get out of this situation.
So you were doing all those things. You knew it was wrong, but you had no way out, no strength to stop.
No, I didn't. I knew it was wrong. It wasn't right. I was raised in church, so I knew about God. My grandmother raised us in church.
Oh, you were raised in church?
I was raised in church.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother always took us to church, so I knew about God. I knew how God worked, but I really didn't know how...
Nisa, can I be frank to you? You never knew God. You never knew His word. That's the thing, that's the point. Many people, they go to church dragged by their parents, grandparents. They are not there because they want the word of God or because they want God. They were there taken, dragged by the parents, grandparents, that sometimes even bribe them If you want to go out, if you want to have good times, if you want to go to the party, let us go to church first, then I let you go.
Yes.
Right?
Right, because I really didn't want to go to church. I can remember me and my cousins trying to sneak out because we was like, oh, it's too long, and we just wanted to, leave church, but the pastor never would let us leave. So we basically was forced to stay there, and we didn't want to be there.
That's why I say that you never knew God, you never knew His Word. And let me talk now to the parents, grandparents, people that take the children, grandchildren to the church. Nothing done by force work. If you force them into a church, they will go to please you, but sooner or later they are going to leave as well. Let me do something. Tomorrow again, I'll be back here with this couple. He has also his story. He was addicted to cigarettes for how many years?
Years, for about 24 years.
24 years?
Yeah, cigarettes, cigars, marijuana, and alcohol.
So, watching us again tomorrow, the second episode of their story. And you are going to see that it's possible to stop suffering.
Tomorrow, Nisa will share more of her experiences as a drug addict for 30 years. Devon had similar experiences. Don't miss out. Maybe this is your story. You are stressed and depressed for so many reasons.